Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 50s Chicks podcast. I'm Annalie.
And I am Patricia.
Yay!
Nope.
No, yes. And today we're doing the follow up on Mr. Match, the series.
Yes, which is
Short.
Yes,
very
short.
very short series. We had higher hopes.
We thought at least we'd take it into at least a 3-part series at least.
But no.
Nope.
It was no.
Nope.
Just no.
Nope.
So take us through it.
Okay, so last we heard I keep going forward. Okay, last we heard the episode where I read the messages from the guy that was really quick about getting things together and setting the meet.
It was all done within a day. He was super professional.
Yes.
I thought that it was kind of like, yes, this guy has been through it. So he has the knowledge, which could be
good or bad.
Good thing.
It could be good
and
or bad.
And a very, very bad thing.
Yes, it could be good or bad. Just so you know that taking care of it, doing the thing and setting the date for the meetup is good. Doing it real quickly is very good. However, like Annalie was saying, it could be a good thing or a bad thing, and that's why you meet to see.
Yes, and at least with him, that would be dealt with right away because he set up the date right away, so you wouldn't waste much time.
Right. Yes. Okay, so we did arrange to meet the following night, and he was driving in an hour away, and he did happen to be about 20 minutes late, and he did call me to let me know that he missed his exit and he would be late. And
you felt some type of way.
Well, yes,
I remember you said you felt some type of way.
I did feel some type of way,
which is rich for someone who's always late.
Yes, I am always late. I messed around and went on time, and then I had to wait. Although it wasn't so much the waiting that I felt some type of way about. I don't know. Maybe because I got there a little bit early, and then I had to then wait because I waited for like 25, 30 minutes. So maybe that was why I felt some type of way. But anyway, so he called and everything was fine. I just, hung out. And so I was there first. So I had already walked up to the restaurant and sat outside. And then he comes and we meet, and he looks like his pictures the right little size. My physical
I'm picturing a dwarf.
Yeah.
With a little
with
the little legs.
He was because I like the little guys. Like my height requirement goes up to like 5'11". Anything higher is out of my requirement.
Come on, 6 foot.
But I'm not gonna not meet someone that is 6 foot or higher. Now, like 6'5", I'm not meeting a 6'5".
Yeah.
I will not meet a 6'5", but my wheelhouse is like 5'9". Well, now I'm going down to 5'8" to 5'11". I will go to 5'8" if they got all the other stuff in place.
Okay, yeah.
I will do.
Well, you've gone to 5'7".
Yes.
What?
Yes, but just to see if everything else is in place. But if everything else is not in place, then I cannot do that. I can't. I would prefer not to do
And
that.
I shouldn't talk because I walked in and my height requirement was higher.
Yes,
and
much higher.
I once walked in and it was sitting on a bar stool with his little feet dangling like this. So
yes. So anyway, so he met all the physical. So he met the physical. And, he complimented me, whatever. And then we go to eat and we start, regular dinner conversation, trying to
get to know family.
Get to know each other, talk about family.
Yeah.
Where we are from, parents living, this and that. near any family in the area, that kind of thing. And everything was fine. It was great. He talked about, places I would like to go in Florida. In Florida. And and that question kind of threw me off a bit, but whatever. And he was telling me about places he liked to go, which just to set the stage for how the conversation was going, there was nothing said that was off-putting. It seemed like everyone is having a good time, I'll say, because we were talking about things. And then we get into past relationships, because I always ask that. And it appears that his last relationship was a younger woman, and I'm not saying in their early 50s, 40s, I'm talking 20s. And he said that, and he did mention that that's what he did when he was first divorced, that he, as he said, ran out and got him a young woman. And
very cliche.
Yes, and lame. But so he did say that, and he just made other comments and statements that led me to believe that he does have the mindset of going after young women. And that was definitely a red flag for me, considering that I am no longer in my 20s. And we did kind of have a little bit of that conversation, because sometimes I think they bait me with that conversation, because he was just saying, well, how we do, speaking of older, the old guys, 50s, 60s, how we go out and get the young girl. And I was
old
like,
guy syndrome, old man syndrome.
Yes, we got to call it.
We got to call it something. I don't know what yet.
And so, of course, I took the bait.
OMS, old man syndrome.
OMS. Okay. And I took the bait, and I said, well, yes, I hear that story a lot of times, where the old guy is, thinking that the young girl likes somebody. She really doesn't. She just wants his money. And he's not responding. And I said, yes. Oh, yes, I've heard that story a million times. And he did mention that his last relationship, which he said was 3 years ago, with the young girl, it did not last. Not even a year or whatever. And he didn't speak specifically about the issues. So normally, in my experience, if there's something going on that is not, how do I say? Usually people generally say, like, what is going on? Like, why didn't it work? Yes. Or what were the things? He did not go into detail. He did not.
Although you did tell me earlier that there was a thing that he brought up that women bring up right away.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes. And also in the conversation. See, I told you I forgot.
Yes.
But also in the conversation, and this is early on in it, he says, well, and I don't even know how it came up. I think he pulled it out the air just to put the brakes on me. And he did it for my benefit. He said, yes, women more often want to talk about marriage,
or bring up marriage right away.
Right. And
which I would say probably because you want to say what your goal is. And if your goal is
to eventually be married.
A lot of us, we want to get married at some point, not necessarily to you.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. But we want to say that that's our goal.
Right. And it's important to put those goals out there in the meat.
Yes.
Because otherwise you're wasting your time. So he did make that statement, and then I responded, and I said, I find that hard to believe that a woman would be saying they wanted to marry you, right away. And he said, well, yeah, I get that. And he said, just like guys, what they want right away, alluding to sex or whatever. And I said, well, yeah, I just cannot see a woman sitting down and saying they want to marry you, and they don't.
And a guy doesn't say that they want sex right away either.
No, they don't.
Not out their mouth.
No, they don't. They do not say that. They definitely
they
do
might
not say
think
that.
it, but they're not gonna say it.
And that's what I told him. I said, no man's ever said that. But so he, whatever. We got past that because I said, well, I find it hard to believe that a woman sat with you and said that she wanted to marry you and she did not even know you. That doesn't, I don't. No. And he was like, well, it's not that I don't want to get married. I'm sure that I would, or something vague like that. So, okay, so there's another strike for him.
Red flag.
Yeah, a red flag. Wanting the young girls, dating the young girls and not one, and learning your lesson. His last relationship, which was 3 years ago, was with one. And I'm sure in those 3 years, and I'm just speculating that there was a stream of them in the mix in those 3 years.
Yes.
So, some already, the flags are flying. And, further in the conversation, it's just, past that, because I think that after we touched on those subjects and how they went, I don't know if the vibe changed.
Probably.
I think maybe, but we did not stop there. He wanted to go downtown. So we went downtown. We went to this nice bar. That place was very nice and it was a good vibe there. We talked a little bit more about this and that. He made some other comments. This is something that, again, that I look for when I'm making a determination or making my assessment. He made some kind of comments about innuendos about women, me having a sexual relationship with another woman. That kind of thing. And asking me, have I ever been curious about it?
Yes. I don't even know if it's a red flag, but somewhat
it's yellow for sure. Yeah, it was off-putting. It was like, why are you talking about that?
Yeah.
It made me think the things that he talked about after he talked about family and all of those things. It seemed as though it was information or conversation that you would have with a young person.
And maybe that whole sexual innuendo when he's talking about, experimentation with another woman, that kind of question does bring in sexual innuendo, which then would go to the fact that he's a man and he might want sex right away. Like, I don't know. He's bringing in.
Yeah, maybe he's bringing that in to see if I would take
to feel it out, to see where you're at.
What I would say.
Yes.
And that is a good point. And so that's one thing you have to look for, those kinds of things. If you're not looking for that, then again, we're talking flags are flying here. Flags, too many flags for me. I don't have a count. Maybe we need to do a flag count.
Yes, we do.
I think that's important.
That's a good,
but there were a lot of flags flying, and I think I was at that bar, that whole kind of like that bar scene. The vibe was so good. I just like listening to the music. Being there with him, it could have been anyone, in my opinion, because I had already decided that, okay, there's too many things. His personality was not in line with, his values were not in line with mine. Like, I picked up on a lot of things that I couldn't. And I know there are some things that you can work with. Those things I could not. So we ended the evening, and we didn't even say anything talk about meeting up again or anything like that. Nothing like that was said.
I would say that is an interesting thing, because whenever I've had a really successful date that's led to an actual relationship, there's always that talk of, like, already before you leave that date, there's always like, oh, we're going to meet again. And not just that, even to the point where we're saying when and what we're going to do.
And there's also talk, and I've had that conversation with people that we did not even end up in a relationship with, but you're talking, about things, and you're like, oh, well, I like this place. We probably should go there. Let's go there next week. Those conversations, but none of that, because I believe that he read the room. And I wasn't taking the bait. I wasn't his choice. Like, I wasn't saying the things that he wanted to hear. I wasn't doing the things I think that he wanted to be done. So I think that I wasn't his choice.
Yeah.
Like I was not in line with what his goals were.
Yeah.
So we both recognized that, and that was that. That was that.
That was that.
That was that. But I did get a text later on that night, or was it the next morning? Because it was late and he had an hour's drive. So I didn't expect to get one from him. But he did ask me to text him when I got home, make sure I was safe. He did do that. And normally they do. And that's what a gentleman is supposed to do, you know. But I don't remember if it was the night, later that night, or I think maybe the next morning. I don't remember. But he just had a nice time, you know. And he did allude to meeting up again. In my response, I didn't really
jump at it.
Yeah, I did not even, I just went over it.
Entertain it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I went over it. But yes, and I have not heard from him. So I'm going to say that, yes.
So was that kind of like a mutual ghosting at the end of the day? Or?
I don't think it was ghost.
I guess it's not a ghost. Yeah. You just didn't pursue it.
Right. We just didn't pursue it. Yes, that's what it was, because he was able to see, okay, she's not the one for me. And I definitely picked up on, in my opinion, these red flags. Not enough green flags to overshadow the red flags. The only thing, here's the plus for him, I would say the physical was a plus. I don't know anything else that he said that was like, oh wow, this is, you know, there was nothing interesting about him.
Right.
Nothing that wanted to keep me talking to him in conversation, because like I said, the way and the things that he was saying were things that you would say to a young person. You know, no depth, no substance in the conversation.
He would probably work for the younger
crowd. Yes, he's definitely used to.
But you know what? I think also kind of what doesn't mesh for these older men that are trying to date these 20, 30-year-olds is that a lot of the 20, 30-year-olds want to have babies because that's where they're at in life, right? Like they want to have a family, married family, all that stuff, little babies running around.
Right.
And these 50, 60-year-old men, not all of them are into that at that point.
I think, here's what I think for some of them, because we do see, and I've met guys that have small kids. Now, those 50, 60-year-olds did not have small kids by another 50, 60.
No, they did not.
So, no. And that's another way to gauge, you know, where their type, if they're out there looking for the young girls. If they have a small child, an infant, a 5-year-old, and you're 60, come on now.
Yeah.
So some of them, I think, to have that young girl, they would do it. And I laugh. Every time I see it and hear it, I laugh at them. Because it's silly. And the young girls, the ones that, because I do believe, and I could be wrong in some situations, but I do believe that, and I'm speaking anecdotally from my own experience and the experience of other young girls that I've been in contact with and interacted with when I was a young girl in my 20s. And now that young girls are not physically attracted to old men. There is nothing relational, nothing in their experiences that would make them compatible in a real meaningful way. So I'm just throwing that out.
Yep.
So those girls, in my opinion, in majority, are looking for the money. They're not, oh, I like older men. Oh, I think they're more mature to, like you say, the janitor. They're not going for the, the handyman down the street or the convenience store cashier. They're going for so we need to stop acting like we know what this is about. The money, the more well-to-do men are the ones that have the young girls because they have the money.
Yeah. So
those girls, I don't think in a large number are trying to have children with these men because they don't find them as true, real companions. The only way they would is just to get child support money, I believe.
And that's a good
racket.
chunk of,
that would be a good racket.
Good chunk of change.
That would be a good racket. But yes. I don't think a lot of them are doing that. No. You know, there's some that, you know, may be doing that, but I don't think a lot of them. I think the most of them are doing it because they know that these guys will do anything for them just to be in proximity to them.
Yeah.
And they will give them money and do all these things for them. So without any meaningful reciprocation of anything.
Okay, but now I got you started on that. So, and this is supposed to be about Mr.
I know
Match.
This went way left. Well, now it's because Mr. Match, I believe, is one of those guys.
Right.
That is those things are gonna blow up. But we should
talk about this in a different episode also.
Yes, we will.
This is
we will dedicate
it.
We will dedicate it to a whole episode.
Interesting phenomenon.
Yes.
What do we call it again? OMS. We talk about OMS later.
OMS. Yes.
So, but yeah, I think that concludes the Mr. Match.
Yes. So yes, because there's nothing. I have no interest in pursuing anything, and it seems to me that he felt the same way, which is fine.
Yeah,
I'm not his cup of tea.
But anyway, all right. Thanks for tuning in. We hope to see you soon again. And
until next time.